minutes that I'm going to be speaking tonight about anti-aging is going to benefit you in lots of ways. Now, one of the reasons that I ask people to come to these talks is because my goal for you guys can stand wherever you want to, it's good. My goal for all of my patients is that they'll get well sooner, stay well longer, and they'll be less dependent on doctors of any kind, me included. Come on in. Good to see you. We got some seats over here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. So there's 4 things that I want you to get tonight. Okay. The first thing is I want you to learn to pursue a lifestyle of health rather than just a lack of symptoms. We all know that just because somebody doesn't have symptoms, it doesn't mean they're healthy. And you may have a tremendous amount of symptoms and your body may be working exactly like it should. Okay, so I want you to understand that health is not just the absence of symptoms. So what I'm talking about tonight, I'm going to be talking about health. And health care is not crisis care. And I want you to understand the difference between health care and crisis care. Our healthcare system right now is a disease care, symptom care, crisis care system. Doesn't have anything to do with health. Okay, tonight I'm going to be talking about health. The next thing is I want you to be able to use these truths and teach them to other people. Okay, I couldn't bring everybody here tonight. You all have friends. So if you learn some things here tonight, I want you to communicate this to some of your friends. And finally, I want you to be able to think a lot deeper about your health. Ask better questions when you go to your healthcare providers. God forbid something happened to me on the way home tonight. I want you guys to be better educated and a lot more insightful on how you think about how your bodies work. So, without any further ado. So, is aging based just on genetics, or are there other factors that we control? Who knows? Is it just genes? No, it's not just genes. Okay. So, Elizabeth Blackburn, who shared the Nobel Prize in 2009 for her work with telomeres, and she has a lab in San Francisco, and I'm going to be talking about her work for just a minute. So what are telomeres? Telomeres are cap-like structures on the ends of chromosomes, and they protect your DNA, all right? They can accelerate or decelerate the aging process depending on whether they grow or whether they shrink. So, lifespan, health span, and disease span are tied to your telomeres. So how many of you want to live a long life? Okay, everybody, that's why you're here, right? How many want to live a healthy, long life? You know, I don't want to live a long life if I'm sitting in a chair drooling for the last 10 years of my life, okay? I want to live a long life, and I want to live a healthy life, and that's what we're talking about tonight. So, telomeres respond to diet, sleep, hygiene, chiropractic care, exercise, emotions, and toxic exposure. This is what some of the things that control whether they shorten or whether they lengthen. And by the way, you can have your telomeres measured. You can go online. They have labs that do this. You scrape the cells out of the lining of your mouth, put it in a cotton swab, you send it off. They'll give you a telomere analysis. I've never done that simply because I do the vast majority of things to keep my telomeres healthy that I'm going to be talking to you about tonight. So, crucial properties of these telomeres. They have the capacity to grow. DNA doesn't, but they do. Long telomeres is heightened health and long life. Shortened telomeres, the shorter they get, the more health problems you have. Telomeres, they protect DNA, they shorten with age. Telomere DNA stops mutation and cell death, and they protect against the proliferation of cancer cells. So would you say that they're pretty important?
Yes.
Yeah, they are. Telomere research, which is what I'm going to show you tonight, can be applied to everyday life. And the reason I did this talk, the reason I put this talk together is because over several years, I come across article after article after article that talk about how to slow down the aging process. And these were articles in journals that I were reading, medical journals. You know, JMA, New England Journal of Medicine, all kinds of medical journals. And I thought, why not do a talk on the research? Because how many of you see in the drug commercials ways that you can slow down the aging process? Do you ever see that on pharmaceutical commercials? No, they don't tell you about that. All right? So, but it's in the journals, all this information. So anything that shortens telomeres shortens life and degrades health. So let's look at some of the effects that will either lead to positive or negative effects or lead to geezerhood. Okay, so if you want to be a geezer, make sure you have lots of unmanaged stress. Toxic stress, which lasts for years, will shorten telomeres. So if you don't control your stress, it's going to shorten the telomeres and going to increase aging. It also creates a sluggish immune system and promotes inflammation. You want to be a geezer, develop these personality traits: cynicism, hostility, pessimism. They've actually been shown, this is in the British Journal of Health Psychology, to show that they shorten telomeres. So if you want to lengthen your telomeres, become happy and optimistic. Now, we probably all have days like where we get like this, probably all of us at times, but if you stay like that, that's the problem right there, is to become a cynical, pessimistic individual. So, antidotes to pessimism that can lengthen your telomeres: trade pain for self-compassion, become conscientious, and purpose to wake up joyful, like that little girl right there. Okay, if you want to be a geezer, make sure you have significant depression and anxiety in your life. These personal histories can be erased. So you need to do something about that. If you're anxious all the time, that's a prescription for shortened telomeres. If you want to be a geezer, make sure you don't exercise. All right? Exercise has a positive effect on the length of your telomeres. So, how many of you in here, anybody exercise besides? Oh, that's good. Okay. So, exercise will lengthen telomeres. If you want to be a geezer, make sure you never get more than 6 hours of sleep. Okay? Research shows that lack of sleep shortens telomeres. All right? So, what's one of the things that can help you sleep better? You just talked about it.
Exercise.
Yes, exercise. Yeah, exercise. Now, there's some research that shows that drinking tart cherry juice in the morning and evening can help with sleep. And it was in the European Journal of Nutrition. Okay, so you could try that, see if it works. You know, we have a product here called Valerian. It's really good for sleep, which I like a lot. I like to use it. I don't use it because I don't need it, but I have patients that use it, and it works well. If you want to be a geezer, develop lots of belly fat. Okay? A high waist-to-hip ratio predicts 40% risk of shortened telomeres. Okay, so there's actually a link between obesity and a short life with your genes. If you want to be a geezer, stay away from anything with omega-3 fatty acids. There's a study of 608 individuals show that the more omega-3 fats in their blood cells, the less their telomeres decline over 5 years. Now there's actually a test that I can do. What else happens when you have low omega-3 fatty acids in your blood, in your body? Anybody that's been to my talks ought to know this. Anybody? What else happens? Terry?
You have less production of cholesterol, which is necessary for every cell of the body.
Cholesterol is made in the liver, so I don't know about that. Not a bad stab, though,
That's
Terry.
my first thought when
Okay.
I hear that question.
Anybody else know what happens when you have low omega-3 fatty acids in your body?
More inflammation.
More inflammation is one, but there's another thing. That's a good answer. There's another thing I'm looking for. Your brain cells don't work. Your brain doesn't work. Your brain needs omega-3 fatty acids. You cannot work without them. So, you know, if you're eating a lot of fast food with omega-6 fatty acids, with all that Wesson oil and all of that, that's going to replace your omega-3s, and your brain will stop working right. Omega-3s are essential for brain function. So if you want to be a geezer, make sure your vitamin D levels are low. Although there's no absolute correlation to telomere length and vitamin D, research seems to show that adequate vitamin D correlates to longer telomeres. What's the best way to get vitamin D?
Sunshine.
Sunshine, that's right, okay. So if you want to be a geezer, drink plenty of sugary soda pop, okay? Now this is a piece of research that Elizabeth Blackburn actually did that I know. It's published in the American Journal of Public Health in December 2014. So that people who drink 20 ounces of soda daily have the equivalent of 4.6 extra years of biological aging, okay, as measured by telomere shortness. So she quantified that. So 20 ounces a day will shorten your telomeres. Is that worth it to you? You have to decide that. Now, I don't drink soda. I don't even bring it home. It's not. You'll never find it in our house. You know, you have to decide whether you want to do that or not. But it's not something that I recommend at all, for lots of other reasons too. If you want to be a geezer, avoid coffee. There's 2 studies that show that drinking coffee promotes longer telomeres.
Yay.
Yeah, that's right. Yay.
Good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. If it shortened them, I'd be in trouble. I can tell you that. That doesn't mean if you don't drink coffee, you're going to have short telomeres. But telomeres, or drinking coffee, is not a bad thing. Now, my recommendation, I wouldn't put loads of sugar in your coffee, okay? But drinking coffee is okay. If you want to be a geezer, avoid the Mediterranean diet. People who follow the Mediterranean diet tend to have longer telomeres no matter where they live. So, what is the Mediterranean diet? Anybody know? Kind of got a picture of it up
Lots
here.
of vegetables.
Vegetables, fish, right?
Nuts.
Yeah, nuts and seeds. Okay. Wait, what did I do here? Let me just fix this. Okay, if you want to be a geezer, just start drinking. Okay, drink more than 4 alcoholic beverages a day and eat lots of processed meat. Okay, isn't this what people do at bars? Drink and eat processed meat.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. So alcohol is not good for you. There's a correlation between drinking and cancer. That's in another talk that I do. But you never want to drink more than 4 alcoholic beverages a day, ever. Okay? What are the foods that lengthen telomeres? This is pretty easy. Fiber, nuts and legumes, fruit, vegetables. I mean, all the things that I tell people to eat, basically. Seaweed, I don't always recommend that. I mean, it's good for you, but foods containing omega-3 fats. All right? What are the foods that contain omega-3 fats?
Fish.
Avocados.
Avocados, a lot of wild-caught fish. What else? Nuts, seeds. Yeah, nuts for sure, especially walnuts. Okay. Grass-fed beef is another one. Grass-fed beef is very high in omega-3 fats. Foods associated with shorter telomeres. Okay, I know none of you eat this food, okay, but you probably know some people that do, so you can tell them, okay. So processed meats, sweetened drinks, white bread, sweetened soda, and your your omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids. So where do we get the omega-6 fatty acids? Where do we get those from?
Grains,
Pardon me?
grains, like wheat.
Yeah, grains for sure. Okay, especially your processed grains that you get in the store. Okay, so anytime you buy bread, you're getting this. Anything else? Any other places that you think? How about fast food? Anytime you eat fast food, processed food, snack food. I hope that nobody cooks with corn oil or Wesson or any of those, because that's all omega-6 fatty acid. So what are the best oils to cook with?
Olive
Oil
oil.
and avocado.
Avocado oil. Somebody said
oil.
olive oil is good. Coconut oil. Yeah, there's a lot of good choices. And for me, at home, we use olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. And a lot of you have heard me say this before. I'll say it again. In my coffee in the morning, I put in coconut oil, pasteurized grass-fed butter, and organic whipping cream. And I mix it up. That's what I put in my coffee every day. And I don't eat breakfast. That's what I have. And that'll last me, till 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't need any more than that. And so, and that combination will help manage your cholesterol, do all kinds of things that are good for you. And by the way, omega-6 polyunsaturated fats, when you eat a lot of those, elevates your cholesterol. It's one of the things that raises cholesterol. Okay, it's not meat like we're told it is. It's this. This is one of them. What's the other thing that elevates cholesterol? Anybody?
Sugar.
Sugar. Yeah, sugar. Too much sugar elevates cholesterol. Okay. So, social environment affects telomeres. So, if you want to be a geezer, live in an unsafe neighborhood with poor social cohesion. So, if you live in a roach-infested ghetto where there's shootings all the time, there's no greenery, your telomeres are going to get short. Okay, and you can amplify that by drinking and eating Cheerios. Okay, so you don't want to do that. All right. So you want to try. You need to live in a neighborhood where there's plenty of greenery. You live in a concrete jungle. People that live in areas in parks surrounded by trees, rivers, they have longer telomeres. Pretty interesting. That was in Lancet, in journal Lancet, which is a very, very prestigious medical journal. It's in 2009. It's pretty interesting. If you want to be a geezer, make sure you get lots of exposure to pesticides. 7 pesticides have been linked significantly with shorter telomeres to agricultural workers. So, which foods that people eat a lot have the most pesticides?
Strawberries.
Strawberries, yeah. Non-organic strawberries is one. What else?
Tomatoes.
Apples.
Apples are sprayed. Okay, what about breakfast cereal?
Cheerios.
Yeah, anything with oats.
How about oatmeal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-organic oatmeal's full of glyphosate. So you want to be very careful about. I don't think anybody should eat any breakfast cereal. If you want to know the truth, I think it's all a bunch of crap. I think we should eat eggs. If you want to eat a good breakfast, eat some good pasteurized eggs. That's a good breakfast. But the breakfast cereal, the fact that we were told we have to have breakfast, I think Kellogg's is the one who told us that, or General Mills.
Both
So,
of them.
yeah, both of them. Because I'm not even sure, we even need to. I mean, some people may, but the fact that we even need 3 meals a day, I don't know who told us that. Because, I don't think we need that either. But I think the food industry told us that. So if you want to be a geezer, here's the one I love. Avoid chiropractic care at all costs. Okay, my favorite one. Okay, there's a small study that showed an individual under chiropractic care for 5 months had telomere growth of 8.33%. That's pretty good. 5 months of chiropractic care, their telomeres grew. Okay, and this is why chiropractic. Dr. Roger Sperry, who won the Nobel Prize for Brain Research, showed that 90% of the stimulation and nutrition to the brain is generated by movement in the spine. So if your spine is not moving very well, you know, you're not going to, your brain's not going to work as well. So what causes the spine not to move well? Anybody?
Being tall.
Being tall? Maybe. So I guess I'm in good shape there. You know, I thought I was a victim of systemic shortness. You know?
No exercise?
Yeah, no exercise. You know, what? Posture, bad posture. Great answer. Great answer, Tom. Bad posture, okay? What else? Subluxations. Degeneration, arthritis in the spine, degeneration, okay? Anything that causes the joints not to flex right, all right? That all causes the spine not to move right, and it actually changes brain function. Okay, if you want to be a geezer, make sure you never get married, okay? Married people tend to have longer telomeres, okay? By the way, anybody recognize him? It's one of the pastors in my church. I pulled that off the internet. Okay, if you want to be a geezer, avoid sexual intimacy in marriage at all costs. Couples who engage in sexual intimacy have longer telomeres. And I can see all the men in this room in their heads rejoicing. Yay! That's exactly. I knew I came for a reason. I knew there was a reason he invited me here. Okay. If you want to be a geezer, internalize any discriminatory remark made against you. So low-income black men who experienced discrimination and internalized it had shorter telomeres. Okay. What are we encouraged to do in this country right now? We're all encouraged to be offended and internalize it, okay? It's shortening everybody's telomeres. You know, so it's not good for people. If you want children, your children to be a geezer sooner than later, have them drop out of high school, okay? Or you drop out of high school. Babies whose mothers never completed high school have shorter telomeres in their cord blood compared to those mothers who had high school diplomas. Isn't that interesting? If you want your children to be geezers sooner than later, make sure you deprive yourself of protein while pregnant, meaning eat lots of Cheerios, and make sure you get too little or too much folic acid, folate. So too little or too much will cause your kids to have shortened telomeres. So you need folic acid while you're pregnant, but you don't need to pound it down. More is not necessarily better. You want your children to be geezers sooner than later. Make sure you're really stressed out if you're pregnant. Okay, what happens when a pregnant woman is stressed? What happens in her body? Anybody know? You know? You tell me. Are you just raising your hand to mess with me? I'm going to get one of those dinosaurs after. Okay. So what happens in a woman's body when she gets pregnant? Or not pregnant, but she's going to have a baby, right? So what happens when she's under stress and she's pregnant? Her cortisol goes through the roof, and it causes all kinds of inflammation issues, brain issues, all kinds of things. So women who are stressed out while they're pregnant, their babies tend to have shorter telomeres. You want your children to be geezers sooner than later. Neglect them when they are young. Expose them to multiple traumatic events. Alcoholism, parental depression, abuse, doesn't matter. moderate childhood adversity can actually be helpful. We need some stress in our life, okay? So, forcing your kids to go out and get a job and pay for some things, that's a really good thing for them. It was for me, at least. Just provide the emotional support during that time. So, here's a shorten your telomeres lifestyle right here. Here's just a pictorial view of it. Sit in a restaurant and eat fast food and French fries, drink lots of Coke. So,
couch potato.
Anybody have any questions over what I've gone over tonight? Did this help you understand how to slow down the aging process? Because if you do the things here, you will slow the aging process down. It's all scientific research. Yes?
If you do the telomeres swab, whatever you call it, how do you know, does it tell you a ratio in terms of what it should be or it shouldn't be? If it comes back and it says your telomeres are 3 inches, what does that mean? So the reports, have you ever seen a report?
The lab will explain that to you.
They will explain it how it should be for a particular age, or in other words, and someone at our age, older age, is going to have naturally shortened telomeres anyway, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're not healthy then.
Right, and the thing is, shortened telomeres relative to who? In other words, let's take somebody that's 70, okay? There's going to be 70-year-olds with longer telomeres and 70-year-olds with shorter telomeres. So it depends on, it's relative to what's normal for a 70-year-old. So you may send it in, and for your age, your telomeres may be a lot longer than somebody else, than the average person your age. You see what I'm saying?
Does it have anything to do with what I want to think of is, for example, race, color, creed, anything like that? Or is it just across these averages? They're just across the board.
Pretty much for just being a human being.
Okay, good.
Yeah, just being a person.
So,
any human being eating the Mediterranean diet and exercising and, controlling stress in their life is going to lengthen their telomeres. Doesn't matter, what color you are, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
They're gonna be able to lengthen their telomeres. Doesn't matter where you came from. Okay. Yes.
So why isn't anybody else talking about this telomeres? I've never heard this before.
That's a great question. They didn't go to chiropractic school. I don't know what else to say. They should be, and that's why I'm talking about them, because this stuff's important.
Yeah.
It's important that people understand how to live longer and live healthier and slow down the aging process. And we might find other things out, as we do more research. But this is what I know at this point. Yeah, Terry?
Is vitamin D considered, whether it's 1D, 1D2, D3, is it considered a vitamin
It's a hormone.
or a hormone?
It's a hormone.
That's
Vitamin
what
D
I
is a
thought.
hormone.
That's what
Yeah.
I've heard on radio
Yeah, it's a
stations.
hormone.
Yeah.
And it modulates the immune system. And I don't know how many people were here for my COVID talk. I talked a lot about vitamin D. There's a lot of research with COVID and vitamin D, and people with high vitamin D levels tend not to get COVID, or if they get it, they tend not to get it as severe. Okay? Vitamin D is really important for the immune system. I have a patient who I did a blood test on her. She's not here, so I'm not talking about anybody that's here. So her vitamin D was so high. I mean, it was like, I don't know, it was 99 or 100 or something. And I told her, I said, you really probably can back off on the vitamin D you're taking. It's a little high. And she said, she said, maybe that's why I haven't been sick all winter. And she's in her mid 70s. And she farms. I call her the Iron Lady. She runs her own farm, and it's amazing. But yeah, she's high vitamin D level. She's never sick. Okay.
Wow.
All right. Anybody else? Good. Okay. Great. So thank you all for coming. I hope that you've got I hope there weren't too many blanks to fill out. There were a lot of them. Okay? And I apologize for that. You know, I'm going to fix that next time so there aren't not so many blanks to fill out. In fact, there may not be any to fill out. So thank you for coming in.